Salutations, this is Dave from System Degenerate bringing you this week's SD's lesson video. And this week what I'm going to be talking about is miking up guitars. I'm going to be spending the next few weeks talking about how to basically record them in general and go through a step-by-step process. And I have a beard because beards are nice. So I'm going to begin. And I'm not actually plugging anything in at the moment. I'm just setting things up so that you can see how it's done roughly. Because I'm lazy, and if I haven't got anything to record right now, there's not really any point. Now, what they say is get a decent mic clip that doesn't have your microphone just fall out when you're trying to show people stuff on a video. Well, the general kind of rule that goes with microphone stuff is to have it pointed, well, you can't really see from the angle, but it's not direct centered to the middle of the microphone. If you think about the fact that this thing is a piece of crap, think about the fact that you've got the cab here with your speaker. This is obviously just a small amp, but you got the cab and the speaker, and then this speaker kind of like has the central part and the rim, and you want it pointing more towards the rim, and they say you should have it about 6 inches away, because, you know, 6 inches is never enough. But yeah, I actually find having it a little closer is what tends to help, and have it facing more sort of slightly centric. But really the best thing is start off with what everyone says and then just experiment listening through headphones until you get a tone that you like. And when you're actually dealing with the amp settings, one thing to remember, and this goes back to another video that I made, you should really not have too much in the way of highs or lows. Just have it sort of like mid-based, because that's really how you set up a good tone. So just keep things more or less at midnight if you only have a treble or a bass like this amp, or keep things slightly higher on the mids if you do have a mid control. I'm just rambling at the moment because I haven't rehearsed any of this. So basically your microphone is then going to go into a preamp, which goes into whatever you're recording on, which if you're old school would be some kind of tape recorder or something, but if you're not old school, it will be a computer, which is the best way to do it. So there's a few things you can use as a preamp. If you have a mixing desk, that's the ideal one. If you have a specialized preamp, that's also ideal. But you could use a multi-effector for vocals and just set that to the bypass channel. This is buried under a load of stuff because my stuff tends to get buried under other people's stuff. That's just what I get for not living alone. I am antisocial. But yeah, as long as you have that fed into it, that's okay. And the microphone that you want to be using as well, I've actually got an SM58 here, which is a standard stage mic. This is what I use on stage for my vocals, actually. This actually isn't really... I just dropped that. That would have looked so cool if I hadn't. There we go. This actually isn't really meant for instruments. This is a vocal mic through and through, but it can be used as instruments. Ideally, though, you should look into getting something like an SM57 for this kind of thing, because an SM57 is more designed for that. Although, actually, contrary to popular belief, the inside part of the microphone is pretty much the same on an SM57. It's just the head that's different, but you can't swap the heads over because of the way that they're designed. I don't know why, sure I've done that, but anyway, there's actually you can use this for this purpose, whatever. The other alternative, of course, is to actually use a software rig emulator like Guitar Rig, or I don't know, something other than Guitar Rig. Nuendo? No, not Nuendo, I don't know. Those are okay. They make things kind of convenient in certain ways. They're not all that good though. I mean, for certain things you don't get all the same kind of sound, and they also use up quite a lot of processing power if your PC is not that powerful. I much prefer using the actual original thing, getting a kind of wall and sound aesthetic going for it. One side note, there's a dent on the head of this microphone. That was not caused by it falling there. That was caused by a former member of the band who was in the band years and years ago. Was 2 hours late for practice because he was playing on Lego Batman, and this thing got clocked over his head quite hard. Yeah, he's not in the band anymore. Anyway, so yeah, this is kind of the first step then, miking it up, make sure you get a good tone. The important thing for starters, I suppose, make sure you use a decent quality microphone. That is always important. And make sure you get the mic setting right, and also try to have quite a lot of volume going onto it, because you don't want too much air in the track. You want the people to be listening to the actual amp itself. And yeah, make sure you use a decent preamp. So next week we'll cover how to kind of get a sort of wall of sound aesthetic out of it. But for now, this is a nice little introduction to miking up amplifiers. So all I would say as well to take into account your actual tone. If your guitar is made of swamp ash, then you maybe don't want to have loads and loads of treb. If it's made of mahogany, you don't want loads and loads of low end, because you do want to keep this as close to the mids as possible. But yeah, that kind of covers it for this week, and see you guys next week. Bye.